Well, good morning, Trondheim friends, and welcome to this week's edition of Patio Ponderings. I am so glad you decided to join me. I'm Pastor Sue. My patio today is the prayer garden at Trondheim Lutheran Church, and it seems like it would be a great spot to kind of get away from it all, so to speak. But when you sit out here, there's a lot going on. There's road noise right in the back. You might hear Ken mowing the lawn. There's a compressor running over there. But that's kind of why I chose this spot. We have a lot of distractions in our lives, a lot of noise of all kinds. And that ties right into what I've been thinking about this week. So let's start with the story that we had on Sunday. It is one of the most challenging stories, I think, in all of Scripture. And it's a story in which Abraham and Sarah, at the very old age of in their 90s, finally have the child they've always wanted, Isaac. And then God asks Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. There's just so many questions around that and so many feelings that we have around that. But there's one particular aspect of the story that's caught my attention this week that I want to think through with you. So when God is going to call Abraham to sacrifice his son, we hear this verse. God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." Abraham answered, "I'm here." Now that response, "I'm here," seems pretty simple. We say it in roll call or attendance taking all the time. Here, I'm here. The Hebrew behind this word is really interesting. So we're having a little Hebrew work today. Hebrew is the original language of the Old Testament. So the word for "I'm here," see, I'm being distracted by leaves tickling my neck. The word for "I'm here," it's one word, hineni. Hineni has some different connotations to it. It means behold, I'm here. It has a nuance of meaning that you are not just physically in this space, but that you are fully present. And I think this definition from one of the commentators is really good. What makes Hineni such a powerful statement? It is an offer of complete availability, of total readiness to serve. When we utter Hineni, we make ourselves fully available to whatever God might ask of us, even without knowing what that might be. The answer of Hineni is one of faith. And so when God comes to Abraham to call him to do this ridiculously hard task, Abraham says, "Hineni, I'm here, I'm fully present." When God interrupts Abraham at the last minute before he can carry through with the call, God says, "Abraham, Abraham," and again, Abraham answers, "I'm here, Hineni, I'm fully present." What I also found really interesting is that as Abraham is taking Isaac up to Moriah, this place where he's going to be sacrificed, and Isaac suspects something's up with this particular sacrifice. And he says, "Father," and guess what Abraham answers in return? "I'm here, Hineni." So Abraham is fully present to God in this story. He is fully present to his son in this story, even though he is in the midst of this ridiculously hard challenge. Being fully present to anything in our current culture, in our current day and age, is really challenging. We have busy schedules. We like to think we can multitask. We are attached to our phones and our electronic devices. They interrupt our one-on-one time all the time. We live in a noisy world, and it gets harder and harder to be fully present in any one moment or to any one person, even and especially God. It kind of explains the whole trend towards mindfulness, right? There's books on mindfulness and all kinds of practices you can do to be mindful of what you're doing in a moment and who you are with. But our call as followers of Jesus is to love God and love our neighbor. But to fully love is to be fully present. So this is what I'm pondering. In this crazy busy world full of distractions, full of constant information, 24/7 schedules, being attached to all these electronics, how do we give anything or anyone our full attention? What are the new practices and habits that we need to develop to be fully present, to say Hineni? And how do we even do that then when our lives become ridiculously hard and challenging things are happening? So that's what I'm pondering. What do you think? How do you, when you're called upon, how do you say Hineni to the loved ones in your life? How do you say Hineni, I am here, to God? Or what do you need to change in your life in order to do that? As always, I would love to hear what you have to say. In the meantime, summer continues. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye.